السلام عليكم
你好
مع السلامة
Oi Hello Selam Hello สวัสดีค่ะ
Hello, hi, how are you? Welcome to International Student Stories. My name is Simon Hamlin. I'm your guide on this journey. We were on a bit of a summer hiatus and we missed you, but we're back to share with you international students' dreams and passions and the impressive things they do to help shape our schools, society, and the world. Before we jump into this episode, I want to ask for your help so as many people as possible can hear these important and inspirational stories. There are a couple of ways you can help. You can subscribe and follow us. That way you're notified whenever we release new episodes. You can rate us. We love 5-star ratings. You can share the podcast with others by clicking on share. And if you're feeling extra motivated, write us a review. Thank you so much. Go ahead and pause this episode right now so you can help us out. All right, we're back. In this episode, I talk with Rezarta Mataj. Rezarta practiced law for 10 years in her home country of Albania. She became a federal judge at the age of 24. She was also an adjunct professor at many public and private law schools in Albania. But in 2017, she and her husband and 2 daughters moved to the U.S. in hopes of expanding their opportunities. They landed in Arizona, and Rezarta attended Arizona State University's Global Launch Program to improve her English before attending law school at Arizona State. She passed her bar exam in 2020 and has been working as a trademark attorney in the U.S. ever since. In our interview, Rezarta talks about life in Albania, the many challenges she faced restarting her career in the U.S., and her dream of once again becoming a judge. Here is Rezarta Mataj's International Student Story.
It's a pleasure for me to be with you and as well to give this interview for studying in the United States.
Thank you. Well, before we jump into all the details on your career and your journey to the US and your studies, all of that, I want to start with your origins in Albania.
Yeah.
If you could describe what Albania means to you and how you would explain it to people who aren't familiar with it.
So Albania is a small country actually and relatively new for people that do not know Albanian. So Albania is bordered with Greece. It is located in North Greece, let's say, and as well facing Italy. It's a very beautiful country. We have lovely beaches, wonderful beaches actually, as I can compare them with Greek and Italian coast, let's say, very, very beautiful. For us, Albanian, if you ask anyone all over the world that is from Albania, we are very nostalgic for our country. We have been under dictatorship and under communism party for 45 years, and we suffered a lot because a lot of fundamental freedoms and rights were restrained. And this is why, because of we didn't have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and a lot of other freedoms, we were poor for sure. But that made us as Albanian to be so close with each other. And we are like a big family. And once we hear somebody has succeeded in, let's say, overseas and became, let's say, famous, we are like, those achievements are like for ourselves. So we are happy and proud for any Albanian out there because of our background and what we have suffered. And we didn't have those opportunities that our country gave us or should have given us for those 45 years, let's say. But yeah, I would invite anyone actually who wants to visit something that is new in Europe. Everything is there. 4 seasons, the food is wonderful. It's a Mediterranean mix of Turkish food. And as well, people are very friendly. So this is something that all my friends that have been there or other people that I met, and when I say I'm from Albania, they said, yeah, I've been there. I mean, among other things, the best thing that they still remember is people are so welcome. They are so friendly. And you can understand that since you arrived in Tirana, in our capital.
You were recently back home, right?
So yeah, I was after 4 years and a half in Albania. Since I arrived here in October 2017, I haven't return back in Albania because I was so engaged. I mean, as I said, mom of two, graduating from law school and then finishing 3 bars. It was a lot for me. But yeah, after 4 years and a half, I met my family, my mom, my sister. They live still there in Tirana, and I enjoyed my mom's food and dishes and soups and even my sister. She's a really good cook. She's an accountant actually, but she's returning to be a professional, especially for cakes. She's awesome.
So you had good desserts all trip.
For desserts, yeah. So, and I enjoyed meeting my colleagues, my friends, my relatives, my aunts and my uncles, relatives. So it was a great time.
So it sounds like you're very close with your family and friends, and through all that
Yeah.
struggle that the country as a whole has gone through, it sounds like it really brought you all together. How did your friends and family react back home when you told them you wanted to come to study in the US and move to the US with your family in 2017?
You're bringing me, say, almost 5 years ago, right? So when I decided, so the thing was like, I don't know if you, Simon, have heard about DV Lottery. I can explain for you if you haven't heard. So DV Lottery is a program that the US government every year select randomly with a lottery 50,000 people all over the world. There are a list of countries that those people can apply to this lottery. So I just applied there. I put my picture, my information, my daughter's information, my husband's information, and I figured out in 2014, I believe, 2014, that I won that DV lottery. And I went through interviews for sure because the US couldn't invite you in the States and give you permanent residency. So that was the thing, that I was green card holder once I passed the interviews, and my husband and my daughters were as well green card holders to come and live. So we got that new opportunity. And it was totally very randomly. I never thought about before to immigrate and to start from scratch. But I mean, just having that, and there are just 1% from all the applicants that they applied that are selected. So it was something that I shouldn't lose that opportunity. So I decided with my husband, okay, let's try. And luckily, my brother-in-law lives in Arizona, in Phoenix. So we had somebody who could support us at that time. And we went back and forth actually from 2015 when we got the green cards, and until October of 2017, we went back and forth because we were still resisting not coming definitely in the US. And for my family, it was like a joke. Are you kidding me? Being a judge, a federal judge, and you want to start and immigrate in a new country with new language? They said to me, we know that we have your brother-in-law there, but that is not enough to start. And you are a mom. And I mean, you are 34. At that time, I was 35 years old. And so how can you, I mean, you went through a lot of schools. At that time, I even finished my PhD in Albania. And they said, are you kidding? You're going to start from scratch? And I said, okay, I'm going to start. That is something that not everybody has, being a US resident. So I got that. Why should I lose? Please, I'm trying to be now not a professional. I'm trying to be a mom and to be a parent. And I want to give them a new opportunity and a better education in this land, in the land of dreams. And this is why we decided with my husband, okay, once my oldest daughter, Anna, she was almost starting her first grade, we said, okay, it's better for her to start her education in US rather than in Albania and then go in the middle of her education. So that was our first, let's say, push, better to say. So because of her, we decided in 2017 to come here. Definitely after 2 years going back and forth and spending a lot of money through flight tickets, but I think it's worth it. So I do not regret anything that we decided with my husband, and for what I have achieved so far. I'm very grateful to the US and to the community and to people here and to the education system, because I know that I was so exhausted, but still achieving everything for 3 years or let's say 4 years, it's not easy, but because of the system is so well, let's say, organized, it's very based on meritocracy. So you do not lose because somebody will corrupt you or somebody will try to corrupt somebody else in order to get your spot. This is what I love. And those are things that annoyed me in my country, unfortunately. And I said, okay, that's something that I want to stay definitely in the United States. And last month, I got my citizenship.
Congratulations.
Thank you, which I'm still, again, grateful. And likely this will be my second and first home forever, I believe.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
And well deserved.
Thank you so much, Simon.
When I was reading your story, I thought back to when I was acting years ago in theater and film, and I had professional experience. I had a lot of different jobs on my resume. And I went back, and there was a theater that I wanted to work at. The only way I could work there was through an internship program where I was working with other students who had just gotten out of school, much younger than me. And it was very humbling to take that step back when I had all that experience. And your story really resonated with me.
Yeah.
It made me think back to that. And I'm just curious, you came to the US, you had been a judge, you had practiced law, you had taught in law in schools. So you had all this experience, and then you're taking this kind of a step back. And it's got to be humbling and challenging. And I'm just curious how you dealt with that and approached that.
So it was hard, actually. I don't want to lie and to be like everything was so easy. No, it was hard, actually. The beginning was a nightmare. Imagine yourself if you are in a new country, the people that surround you, they don't have any clue in the legal field. So I don't know where to start. So I started first, even when I was in Albania, I started kind of sending some resume in law firms or even some vacancies that I found here and there in Arizona. And they do not consider anything. I finished my bachelor in law, bachelor degree, 4-year degree in Albania. Then with a GPA, very high GPA. Then I finished the School of Magistrates in Albania, being the first of my class between 22 judges and prosecutors. And I was the youngest judge there. I was 24 years old when I became a judge, federal judge. And then I finished as well my PhD in administrative law just because being a law professor, I was an adjunct professor in some law schools. They required me to have that PhD. And I was a mom of two, as I said. When I came here, I was shocked because based on my resume, for them it was impressive, but I didn't have any American degree. And they said, for us, you're okay, but how can we test you that you're good in your English and you know the American law? I mean, for them, that's fair, actually. But for me, I was shocked because if you, for example, will come in Albania or I don't know, in Netherlands, and they say, hey, I'm Simon from the US, they will recognize any single credits that you have from the US. We respect and we are very welcome there. Vice versa, not. They'll say, okay, you have that European or Albanian degrees, but not any American. So you need to start from scratch. Then I said, okay, where do I need to start? Luckily, we live in the digital time and everything is there. Just Google. And if you know enough English, you can search. But imagine if you were, and luckily I was, but imagine if you were in a new, before second millennium, or I don't know, before 90s, that everything was so old school with letters and mails. I don't know how people could handle that situation. But yeah, back to our story. I started to Google and I said, what are the requirements to be a lawyer or to be a judge? So I started from scratch, just Googling. And there is a big path to be an attorney here in the US. So I said, okay, meanwhile, I'm applying to Arizona State University. Why not getting some English classes to improve my English? And that is the time when I registered to Arizona State University Global Launch. I was advanced level in English at that program. And after I finished that program, I got some, I believe, 8 classes in the Phoenix College for paralegal, just to try to get the idea and hints. What is this American law about? What is the contract law? What is the property law? What is the procedure, civil procedure and criminal procedure law? So trying to prepare myself, which was a lot of money invested at the time and a lot of energy and time. But the final scope is to become a lawyer. And I believed at that time, and it turns out to be a good belief, that they helped me a lot with my English and with my legal, let's say, understanding of subjects, and as well shortening the time becoming a lawyer, not to go back and forth in other many programs and then to jump to the law school. I went straight to the law school besides getting those classes, as I said, in paralegal program and as well for my English.
I didn't realize that you came over not originally planning to necessarily go to Arizona State or to get a law degree here. I assumed that you knew coming over that here are the steps that I'm going to need to take.
No,
Wow.
that was something that I figured out within 5 months, let's say. So I just emailed Arizona State University, say, hey, I want to be an attorney to register to the law program. What are the requirements? They send me the requirements. So you need to go through LSAC and prepare and, let's say, take the TOEFL, the level for your English. And I said, okay, I'm going to concentrate and I'm going to go through all those steps. And I was lucky that when I arrived in October 2017, the next August, I was enrolled to ASU College of Law.
Fundamentally, how does law differ between Albania and the US?
So that's a great question, actually. A lot of my friends, they say, yeah, you become there so soon because all the legal background helped me. You know what? I can say to them, no, actually, they confuse me a lot. Why? Because here in the US, we have common law system, we have juries, we have precedents, while in Europe, we have a civil law system. We do not have juries. We do not have, let's say, precedents. It's just the court who decides for that particular case. And we cannot follow that, let's say, case law because the appeal court decided like that. That was just for that specific case. So those principles somehow confuse me. But in some particular fields, such as property, there were some fundamental legal principles the same. But other than that, they really confused me a lot. But the thing is that in law school, people, they highly respected me because of my background. And I was very involved in, it is an organization, in student organization at ASU. It's called International Law Student Organization. And my background helped me to organize, for example, I know that I organized a panel with some law professors at the time, the differences between common law and civil law. That helped me to organize that. But other than that, as a student, it really, even the deadline that we have in civil procedure or criminal procedure, it really scrambled me, the whole principle that I have from Albania. So in that regard, not really. But being involved, and people highly respect me because of my background, and they were curious to know what is the Napoleon Code or what is a civil law system, why you don't have jury, how a judge will decide, right? So those things helped me to kind of be a little bit of teacher or instructor or organizing panels with my fellow students at ASU, and which is great, actually.
You got to use those skills from back home and bring them over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
You're focused on intellectual property, right?
Correct.
Now, what attracted you to intellectual property originally? With all the different areas that you could get into in law, what made that one the one you wanted to go into?
Yeah, that's a great question. Why? Because it remembers me how I started as a judge. So as I said, I was just 24 years old when I started, and I was appointed in a court in north of Albania that I started with administrative law. So in Albania, maybe even like here in the US, but this is the deal there. We, as judges, we rotate every 2 years. We change the chambers. So if I am, let's say, as an administrative law judge for 2 years, then after 2 years, I will go in criminal law chamber. And after that, I will go in civil law chamber. And this is how it goes and comes, let's say. So started as an administrative law judge, and then when I went in another, I was transferred in another court. Then I dealt with civil property law and as well criminal law. When I was transferred, promoted in the capital court, the biggest court in Albania, in Tirana District Court, there were just 6 judges. Maybe the president judge at that time thought for the best judges of our court. He selected 6 judges to be in commercial and IP intellectual property law chamber. And I was one of those 6. because IP law in Albania is practiced just in this court, in Tirana court. I didn't have the opportunity before as a judge to deal with IP law matters. So when I had my first cases in copyright law and as well in trademark law, I was like surprised, and I love that. It was a love in the first sight. So I love those cases, and was not in only applying the law, but even kind of, and you're an artist, how an artist will feel if somebody will stole his job or his original work, or how somebody who has built a business empire and somebody just compete him unfairly, copying, let's say, his trademark, all right? So I was fascinated and I was so invested in this case because even if you see my opinions, they are comparing the infringement and not the original work, infringing. So it was a table there and I was comparing, and people love that. They say, wow, you're amazing. I mean, I was giving my 100% in those type of cases. And since I arrived here in the US and being in law, I selected, and all my internships and externships were dedicated in IP law. Unfortunately, I couldn't practice patent law. I don't have hard science background to be a patent attorney, but copyright and trademark matters I love to deal with. So I was concentrated since I arrived here just in trademark law. And then even when I choose to practice law, I choose to be just a trademark attorney, practice enforcing them or prosecuting them. That is something that I'm doing right now, prosecuting trademark or registering new trademarks, let's say, with LegalZoom.
Intellectual property, IP, just to
Yeah.
clarify for everyone, for those who aren't well versed in the
Yeah.
law. And do you have a favorite case that you've worked on so far since you've started practicing in the US?
So far, I mean, I work with a big company in California enforcing trademark. Actually, with that company, I was a law clerk. And the things that I have to deal with is enforcing all over the world the name of that big company in California. That is a worldwide company.
Do you want to share the name?
I can mention if that is okay with you.
Sure.
It's Jacuzzi Company.
Okay.
It's so great because just when we enforce and asking people do not misuse the name of well-known trademark Jacuzzi, they were very friendly enforcing, and because of mistakenly they didn't know that they were making a mistake, but I had a lot of good feedback, let's say, immediately saying, yeah, we'll change that, we didn't know that. So that's something that fulfilled me. And I was dealing with people that are from, let's say, Sri Lanka and China to South Africa, so all over the world, and having different culture. I was kind of afraid how they will approach my letters because I was sending letters to them saying do not use that. So I was so surprised and glad that a lot of big outcomes were coming and saying yeah, and just having that outcome, it kind of surprised me. But in Albania, I can mention another case that I was a judge there, and it was a famous French dictionary, and I speak French. So it was something that I was so involved because even the expert witnesses, if they wanted to do something, I could catch the mistake in French, let's say. I cannot say that I was better than them, but I know French, so I know that is not that way that they wanted to interpret the law, let's say. So it was, let's say, the most famous French author in Albania who had that dictionary, and his student, as well, a well-known professor in French, let's say, department in University of Tirana, who just grabbed idioms from that dictionary and made his own dictionary, let's say, some phrasal verbs and some idioms, something like that. And then the thing is that both of them, they were professor doctor, so they have the highest title academically. And they asked me, we do not want to have expert witnesses that they have a lower academic degree than us. And how come? I mean, French is very hard you to have professor degree. So it was hard for me to gather expert witnesses, and they wanted three. And I don't know, maybe my name at that time was so known because I kept sending letters to, let's say, Secretary of Education. Please find me expert witnesses because, and with this such title, Professor Doctor, because my part is they don't want somebody who has lower degree than that. It was very involved, and it was a trial that lasted for more than 1 year. And I was the only one on the bench because of the subject matter. I wanted the only one. I mean, I believe that should have been a beautiful movie, like a script. I mean, because parties kept fighting with each other and they revealed a lot of personal things. But the French, which I love as a language, that was something that I was so involved. It was something with a French dictionary.
I'm glad you brought up language because when I think about your story, I think about with English and just language in general, words, precision with words in law is so critical.
Yeah.
And you coming over to the US and English not being your first language and needing to brush up on those skills,
Yeah.
how was it to approach that knowing that specific words can change the nature of a case? So it's a totally different level
Yeah,
of
that's true.
English than maybe somebody else coming over to try to brush up on English. Like it's critical to your job.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, in Albania, we do not speak English. Maybe recently people are English is very well known, but at the time when I was raised, English was not the primary language that we as kids learned. So Albanian Italian is the second language that every Albanian knows, and then I learned French, English, but not with a let's say focus that English will be something that I will use in a day. Right. So I started to start English when I figured out that I was given from the US government the green card, let's say the residency coming here. So that was the time in 2015, let's say, when I started to being involved seriously with English. It's hard for me. My first recommendation to all people, all students, international students that they want to come here and study in the US colleges is first to learn very well English. It's not matter of communicating with people, it's matter to learn academic English. That is very, very important because that resonates and that will reflect your grades and your GPA. Lower the level of your English, for sure the grades will not be so awesome. Why? Because everything is in writing. I mean, the exams will be in writing. Let's say if you are a lawyer, everything will be in writing. So even professional, but just speaking for schools, you should have a huge grasp of English and not just intermediate or conversational type of English. Very, very good English. That will help you to become faster a good professional and to get good jobs here in the US. I know that accent, you never will get rid of your accent, and which is good. Somehow I always say to my clients actually when I talk with them, when I give consultations, hey, I do have an accent. And hopefully that will not be an issue for you. And they say, no, that's right. It's okay. But I'm conscious that I'm never going to get rid of my accent, but at least to speak clearly and to being understood is something that every international student that wants to come here should be aware of, actually. That's my number one tip that I want to give to those students out there.
What are some other recommendations that you have if you had family or friends or other students that you knew who were thinking about coming to study in the US? What would you suggest to them?
English, number one. I do not exhaust to repeat that, so I can repeat and repeat that. And second is networking, definitely. Networking is something that I regret that I didn't do. Why?
Well, you were pretty busy. I mean,
Not that.
you had family,
Yeah, that
two
is something. I
daughters,
mean,
a
if
husband, and
earlier you come in the US, faster you'll become a good professional. If you are a mom like I was, it will be hard, but not impossible. Something that I regret was networking. I couldn't wait to come to my girls and help them with at that time they were 3 and 6 years old. They're very young and they need my help. And my husband helped me a lot. I remember he rode with his bicycle to go because we didn't have such money to buy even 2 cars. So he rode to his job and come back at 2 p.m. I left him, our girls, and I went to law school and come back with. So it was so exhausting at that time and going back and forth. When I remember, I said to myself, that was a very bad nightmare for me. I mean, it was totally, but it's gone. And if you're a mom, if you're a parent, you'll be double exhausted and double tired, not because of English, but the manner how the law school is approached here is you need to not work because when you graduate, you need to have a job on your hand, right? And those years they finish so fast. So you'll find yourself abruptly, let's say, out there with no job. Because why? Because you didn't have any business card to knock on that door, or you didn't have any friend. Myself, I didn't have any relatives that were involved in legal field, or I didn't have any friend. I was pretty new. I was 2 years there. So when I finished my law school, I was in the US after 2 years and 3 years, let's say. So I was new in Arizona and new in the whole environment. So I felt myself so bad. And because it was 2020 when the COVID hit, so people were fired and losing their jobs, not to claim having a new job for myself, right? So it was a tough situation, but I think if I could have that relationship or that network, maybe something will help me earlier. I'm not saying that I didn't get my dream job, but maybe that dream job should have come earlier for me if I could have that relationship or network. So network is very important. So English network, and other than that, everything will come very easily here. How the system, as I said, this is why I love so much living in the US, because the system, the government, everything is so organized. You don't need to bribe somebody to get a job. You don't need to have somebody to win that competition. If you're brave enough, if you're good enough, this is why I say it always to my girls, nobody will say you no. Nobody will judge you or prejudice you or prejudge you because of the skin of your color or because of where you're coming from. And those are things that we need to be, maybe you don't know because you are not raised in another country, but those are the things that in other countries people they suffered, and I suffered that on my skin because I was from North Albania. In Albania, I was the first in my class, and I was nominated and appointed in a long way from my family in that North Court, in that North City Court, let's say. Why? Because I was from North Albania. They said that you know more that mindset. And let's say some people that were not the first of the class, they were nominated in the capital court of Tirana, close to their family and close to the metropolitan vibe area.
Rezarta, you mentioned having to bribe to get certain positions. Was that common in Albania, those types of things?
Used to be, I cannot say right now because I am almost 5 years that I'm not there in US, but used to be. My dad passed away when I was 12 years old. And it was just my mom who raised us. She now is a retired nurse. So I was a person that I wasn't coming from a family that was rich or has political power, right? So when my dad passed away, he was 41 years old. My mom was the same age, and she had to raise by herself three kids, my brother, who is 3 years older than me, and my sister, who is 5 years younger than me. So three kids, 41-year-old widow, and she had to support us, and she succeeded. She is a very proud mom of us. I was become a judge. My brother is a civil engineer, and my sister, she's an accountant. Luckily, my brother as well won DV lottery, and she lives in Clifton, New Jersey. And I'm glad that he's here with his family. So right now it's just my mom and my sister there. But I'm seeing that still things are not in the right direction. As I said, when I was there, I was coming from a family with political power, and I was facing all the time, let's say, something grabbed from me because I was nobody. So I was the first of the class. The only thing that I had on my shoulder was my knowledge. So even when I won in law school there, even when I won my School of Magistrate competition to go there, just my brain and my knowledge, anything else. And even when I was being nominated, because I didn't met the, let's say, High Council of Judiciary members, I wasn't nominated in the spot that I deserve to be. And when I asked them why you did that injustice to me, because I was the first and I was supposed to be in that spot, in that court, they said, no, because you didn't meet us. And you didn't meet us, and some others met us before you. So we gave that word to them. And I said, is this how it should be?
Is that a goal to become a judge again in the US?
Yeah, that's my secret dream actually,
Yeah.
to become a judge. It's hard. I know it's hard because in Europe we have schools to become a judge everywhere. This is we call them School of Magistrates, and there it's very harsh competition. It's 5 times harder than a bar exam because there are just 10 people, at least in my time, 10 people out of 180 people to pass through that exam and to succeed. Here we don't have that type of school, and I know that you are elected, and to be elected you need to have a great network, going back to the network, right? Or to have supporters, people that endorses you. But I'll try, maybe, who knows, I'll try. I want to have trials and to be on bench. I love being in courtroom actually.
Rezarta, you talk about support. You mentioned that a couple of times over these last couple minutes and throughout the interview.
Yeah.
Talk about the support that you got at Arizona State University and what that meant to you.
Arizona State University, and starting with Global Launch, that is something that I love so much. And I'm glad that I came through the whole process with them. When I came here and I wanted to improve my English, I just looked up what is the best program in Arizona and in Maricopa area, better to say, because I live in Phoenix and I wanted to come at the end of the day in with my kids. I don't want it to go in Tucson or I don't know somewhere outside Arizona. And Global Launch was the most rated program. So I came there, I applied, and they said to me, "Yeah, you're more than welcome." So once I arrived in October 5 of 2017, I started Global Launch for 2 months. They opened me a lot of doors. Why? Because they kind of helped me to get contacts with law school. And I met the law school, let's say, representatives. They helped me as well, not only with my English for sure, but even, for example, with TOEFL. They said that, you know what, in Arizona, if you pass this Arizona TOEFL test, let's say, it's not the international TOEFL, the traditional TOEFL test, but if you pass this ASU TOEFL test, Arizona State University College of Law will recognize those scores, something that I couldn't know that before. And as well, when I wanted to pursue the last, let's say, program for my, let's say, high advanced 2 program, unfortunately, I couldn't because nobody will help me to keep my little daughter. She was 3 at that time, when not able to go in kindergarten. I said, I cannot attend the second part of the program. And I remember the director, Lois Malone, when I met her and said, I want to be an attorney here. And she said, yeah, I don't know if I can see your name in Billboard. This is how I'm envisioning and imagining you right now, seeing your name on billboards like Rezarta Mataj, the best attorney in Arizona. I said, I know. I don't think that will become true a day. And she inspired me. She said, no, never say that. I mean, here we can achieve everything. And that motivated me very much. It was so inspirational to me because I was so down at that time. And then she said, just contact Arizona State University College of Law, tell about your background, and your English is good. She said to me, go to through TOEFL test and things will come by themselves. And she was right. So then I applied to the Arizona State University. The other good thing from ASU was that they recognized me from Albania 29 credits. So I was able to finish the law school instead of 3 years in 2 years, right? So that is something that helped me a lot. And as well, for every requirement that I had, for example, I remember the last term I got 18 credits because just wanted to finish as soon as possible. My kids were in a time that they were just bored and were annoyed seeing me all the time reading at the libraries. So I wanted to finish them ASAP. And I said, could I get that plan? And they helped me and they kind of accommodate my needs. And I'm very grateful for that.
Rezarta, what does your name mean?
My name, my name in Albanian means golden ray.
Golden Ray.
Yeah, my dad, he put this name to me, and it's very common in Albania. So anybody who speaks Albanian, when they listen to that Rezarda, that means golden ray. And I'm proud for that name
That's a
actually.
beautiful
It's
name.
it's very pure
Yeah.
Albanian name.
Yeah. So it is very common.
Very common.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Going back to language, we talked about English. What are
Yeah.
your favorite slang words in English and in Albanian?
That's a question that uh, I never thought about. So slang is this abbreviation, like or gonna. I say, why they do so? Because as you know, in legal world, you are not allowed to use slangs, right?
Right.
We're very careful in using those slangs and those abbreviations, like do know, gonna.
So outside of the legal world, what are any favorite slang words or
So working with trademark law, and people they love to use slangs with their trademarks. So one slang that I've learned is bougie.
bougie?
Bougie. Yeah, it's like being like aristocratic, like
Yes.
right. And I
Yes.
said, "What is because this is so French, right?" They said, "No, bougie." And I had a client who wanted to put that name for his trademark, and I said, "I need to prepare before I have in case, and I have the consultation with my clients." And I said, "What is this bougie about?" And it says that bougie is a slang that in the U.S. is something that you show off or to be an aristocratic. You correct me; it is the proper meaning, but that was something. Or even one is rolling. Rolling is something to be like rich or he's rolling, right?
Rolling. Could you spell it?
It's Rollin.
Oh, he's
Rollin.
rolling. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So he's rolling in the
Something.
dough, or
Yeah, something
yes,
being greased. And I thought, oh, what is that? Because rolling is just when you roll, right?
right.
But that's something that I've learned that is being greased. And those are very, so in trademark law, you will see a lot of slangs being used. And I'm learning. And this is why I love trademark, because I'm learning in many manners, or let's say many ways. So, but in Albania, officially we say how are you, like, right? Like CE in Albania, that is CE. While youth, they use chabona. Like, I don't know how to translate, but chabona is my favorite. It's another way of use from youth of to ask you how are you today. Right. So there are some slangs, but yeah, I'm learning a lot with English slangs through my job, which I love it. What I do is my English, they speak just English at home and in their school, and they are my best teachers, because when I want to kind of use that new slang in my vocabulary or in my daily language, I try to communicate with them. They say, "No, mom, that is not that meaning. That is." So they are great teachers for me.
That sounds great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for stopping by and talking with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Simon. It was a pleasure. I didn't believe that the time went.
I know. It
It's
flew.
over so fast.
It flew. We could talk so much longer, but it's been really nice talking with you, Zarda.
Yeah, it was so pleasure for me as well. As I said, I'm so grateful and thankful for what the US brought to my family, to my daughters, to my husband. I want to, before closing this interview, something that I am very grateful is, and he was so supportive to me, is my husband. He's a soccer referee, which I am so proud of him. And he's trying to be an MLS soccer referee, but he's a regional soccer referee. He achieved so far. He's a national, I believe, or regional soccer referee, and I'm so proud of him because he used to be a soccer referee for 20 years in Albania. And when he came here, he said, "No, I'm not gonna continue my passion." I said, "No, you should, because here in the US, they will give that opportunity with no hurdles," and that was true. So he was so supportive for me. I'm so grateful having such a wonderful man,
What is his name?
Blandy.
Blandy. And do you want to share any ways that people could connect with you, whether it's social media or there's spots that you want people to connect with you?
I am not so fan of Facebook. I used to be, but being a judge, it was such a good idea because I had parties they
I
just
understand.
inbox me
Yes.
and DM me. But yeah, I have my professional LinkedIn page. You can find me Rezarta Mataj or Mataj, Mataj, PhD Esquire, ESQ. I have my phone number. You can find there everything in that page, as well my email. As well, I help a lot of people who DM me through LinkedIn. If they have any question how I succeeded, how I passed the bars, I successfully passed California, New York, and Arizona bar. So I'm barred in 3 states. So if they need to have any tips, any suggestions how to pass successfully California or any UB jurisdiction bar, please message me or text me. I'll be more than happy to help. I have a lot of materials for those people if they want to be a lawyer. Everything that I can give is how to become a lawyer. I don't have any clue how to become a doctor or an engineer, but maybe a lot of other things that I can share regarding
Well, and a soccer
languages
referee. If we need any help
yeah,
with
or
any
soccer.
soccer referee, we
Yeah.
can contact you as well.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you. That's kind of you. Thank you again for listening to International Student Stories. And thank you to our team for putting together this episode. Stories are meant to be shared, so please pass the story on to a friend or family member who needs to hear a good story. A few other quick notes. I invite you to check out the show notes if you want more details on some of the topics discussed in this episode. For all the latest podcast news, stop by our website, studyintheusaglobal.com/podcast. That's STUDY in the USA global.com/podcast. Subscribe to the International Student Stories podcast to be alerted on new episodes. And contact us if you know of a current or former international student whose story needs to be shared with the world. Goodbye for now, be well, and much love to each and every one of you.